Same economy, same era, completely opposite lives. No lottery win, no inheritance, no insider edge, no secret strategy. Ronald Read swept floors at a gas station for 25 years, bought simple stocks, and quietly waited. Richard Fusconi borrowed millions to build an 18,000 square foot mansion with 2 pools, 2 elevators, 11 bathrooms, and lost everything in 2008. One man understood something profound. The other had every credential money can buy. And here is the uncomfortable truth. This entire book is built on financial success. Has almost nothing to do with how smart you are. It has everything to do with how you behave. You're not broke because you're not smart enough. You're not struggling because you don't have the right information. And the wealthy people you admire are not winning because they solved a math problem you can't. Something else entirely is going on. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel is one of the most important financial books written in the last decade. And it's not a finance book at all. It is a book about human behavior, about the invisible patterns of thought, fear, ego, and experience that silently drive every financial decision you make, and about why brilliant people consistently destroy their own wealth, while ordinary people quietly build it. By the end of this video, you'll understand why no one is truly crazy with money. They're just shaped differently. Why luck and risk are more intertwined than we admit. Why knowing when you have enough is the most powerful financial skill that exists. Why Buffett's real secret has nothing to do with picking stocks. And why the most valuable thing money can ever buy is something most people never think to purchase. Stay until the end. The final insight is the one that changes everything. No one is crazy. They're just shaped differently. Morgan Housel opens his book with a deceptively simple statement. People do some crazy things with money. But no one is crazy. It contains a completely different model of human behavior than most of us were taught. Think about the people in your life who make baffling financial choices. The person who spends recklessly while earning well. The family member who refuses to invest anything. The colleague who panic sells every time the market drops. From where you're standing, these behaviors look irrational. Wrong. But here's what Housel argues with precision. Every financial decision a person makes is completely rational, given their own unique history, their own fears, and the specific world they grew up in. But here's where it gets genuinely uncomfortable, because this includes you. Your personal experience with money makes up 0.0, but it makes up roughly 80% of how you think the world works. If you grew up watching your parents struggle, you're wired to fear markets. If you came of age in a bull run, you're wired to trust them. If money was always tight, scarcity thinking operates below your awareness. Neither worldview is wrong. They are just different maps of the same territory, drawn from radically different lives. Economists studied decades of data and found that people's lifelong financial decisions are most heavily influenced by what happened to markets during their teens and early 20s. Not what they studied, what they personally lived through. You are not making financial decisions from logic. You are making them from memory. Most people never realize that, and this is the part nobody talks about, but it explains almost everything. Consider lottery tickets. Americans spend more on them annually than on movies, music, video games, and books combined. Who buys the most? The lowest income households, spending 4 times more than wealthy ones. On the surface, it looks insane. But for someone with no realistic path to financial advancement, a lottery ticket is the only vehicle available to hold a genuine dream. It's not irrational. It's the only option that feels real. You think it's crazy because you're already living the dream they're paying to imagine? Context changes everything. But what happens when people get the dream and still can't stop? The danger of never having enough. Rajat Gupta was born in the slums of Calcutta, orphaned as a teenager. By his mid-40s, he was CEO of McKinsey. He sat on the Goldman Sachs board. He was reportedly worth $100 million. A 5% return on that. Some generates $600 per hour, around the clock, while he sleeps. Wanted more. He wanted to be a billionaire. So he leaked insider information from Goldman board meetings to a hedge fund manager. He made millions in illegal trades. He went to prison. His career, his reputation, everything he'd built from nothing. Gone. And here's what makes this story not just sad, but terrifying. He already had enough to live 10 extraordinary lifetimes. He destroyed it all, chasing something he couldn't even clearly define. You're about to see what most people never realize, that enough is a skill. And almost no one has it. Bernie Madoff ran the largest Ponzi scheme in history. Before the fraud, he was a wildly successful, legitimate businessman. His market-making firm earned up to $50 million a year. He didn't need to steal. He chose to, because his appetite for more had no floor. Housel calls this the inability to define enough. The goalpost never stops moving. Every time you earn more, the comparison point shifts. The rookie ball player earning $500,000 feels poor next to his teammate earning $36 million. That teammate feels modest next to the hedge fund manager earning $340 million. There is no ceiling on social comparison. The only way to win that game is to refuse to play it. There are things in life you should never risk regardless of potential gain. Reputation, freedom, family, the ability to sleep at night. Gupta and Madoff had all of those things, and they wagered every one of them for more money they didn't need. Knowing when you have enough isn't settling. It's the most sophisticated financial skill there is. And the next insight will show you why most people are playing the wrong game entirely. The secret nobody talks about. Compounding time. More than 2,000 books have been written about Warren Buffett. Most of them analyze his investment strategies, his stock picks, his mental models, his discipline. They are missing the most important fact. Warren Buffett's net worth, when Housel wrote this book, was $84.5 billion. Of that total, $84.2 billion was accumulated after his 50th birthday. More than $81 billion came after he qualified for Social Security. Buffett is a great investor, but his secret is not brilliance. His secret is time. He started at 10. He never stopped. He never panicked. He never took on enough debt to get wiped out. He stayed in the game for over 7 decades and let compounding do what compounding does when you give it enough runway. But here's what changes everything. And most people never do the math. Jim Simons runs Renaissance Technologies with an average annual return of 66%. 3 times Buffett's, 22%. And yet Simons is 75% less wealthy. Why? Because Simons didn't find his stride until age 50. Buffett had a 40-year head start. The lesson is brutal. The most powerful variable in wealth building is not return rate, it is duration, not brilliance. Staying in the game long enough for the math to become ridiculous. Compounding is so counterintuitive that even brilliant people fail to feel it viscerally. At 8, 9 times, you solve it in seconds. Multiply 8 by itself, 9 times your brain stalls. Exponential growth doesn't feel real until it suddenly is. And by then, those who understood it early are decades ahead. Getting wealthy is one skill. Staying wealthy is another. Jesse Livermore was the greatest stock trader of his era. By 30, he was worth the equivalent of $100 million. When the market crashed in 1929, when almost everyone lost everything, Livermore made more than $3 billion in a single day. He bet on the fall. He was right. One of the richest men alive. And then, and this is the part that should keep you up at night, he lost it all. Flushed with confidence, Livermore made bigger and bigger bets. He took on more risk. His wins felt like proof of genius rather than partly luck. He eventually lost everything, drowned in debt, and died broke. Meanwhile, Abraham Jamonski, a wealthy real estate developer who bet heavily on the same rising market, was last seen on Wall Street shredding ticker tape into pieces on the day of the crash. He was never found. 2 men. One crashed in 1929, one in 1933. Same mistake. Brilliant at getting wealthy, terrible at staying wealthy. And Housel argues, this gap is one of the most important and least discussed distinctions in personal finance. Getting money requires optimism, aggression, risk-taking. Keeping money requires the opposite. Humility, paranoia, the constant acknowledgement that what you build can vanish just as fast. Not the same skill. Almost opposite mindsets. Charlie Munger once summarized Buffett's genius this way: it wasn't the brilliance of his picks, It was what he didn't do. He didn't take on excessive debt. He didn't panic in 14 recessions. He didn't attach himself to one strategy. He didn't retire. He survived, over and over, until compounding did the work. Survival is the strategy. Everything else is detail. But there's a third person in this story, whose failure reveals perhaps the deepest truth of all. Wait, this is the part nobody talks about, and it's the one that might be most relevant to your life. Luck, risk, and the story we tell ourselves. Bill Gates attended one of the only high schools in the world with a computer in 1968. Of roughly 303 million high school-age people on Earth, about 300 attended Lakeside. Gates was one of them. He has said plainly, without Lakeside, there would be no Microsoft. 1 in a million luck. He worked extraordinarily hard and got a head start that 302,999,700 people did not. His best friend at Lakeside was Kent Evans. Equally brilliant, equally ambitious, equally obsessed with computers. Gates says Evans would almost certainly have been a founding partner of Microsoft. Kent Evans died in a mountaineering accident before graduating high school. 1 in a million risk, same force, same magnitude, opposite directions. One story became a $1 trillion company. The other ended before it could begin. Housel's point is not that effort doesn't matter. It clearly does. His point is that we systematically overestimate skill and underestimate luck when evaluating success and failure. The Forbes 400 celebrates people who got lucky with skill, but never publishes the list of equally skilled people who got unlucky. Failure doesn't get cover stories, so we consume a distorted picture of what produces success and build our strategies on that distortion. And this is where it gets personal, because you've been judging yourself against a rigged scoreboard. When you succeed, it's easy to credit your decisions. When you fail, it's easy to blame bad luck. The opposite is just as valid in both directions, and truth lives somewhere in between. Housel's prescription: be careful who you admire. Be careful who you dismiss. When judging your own results, leave room for forces outside your control. Nothing is as good or as bad as it seems. And what comes next will challenge something you probably believe about money right now. Wealth is what you don't see here as a thought experiment. You see a man driving a Lamborghini. What is your first assumption? Most people think that person is wealthy. But think about what you actually know. You know he has a Lamborghini. You know he spent roughly $200,000 on a car. What you don't know is whether he has 10 million in savings or 50,000 in credit card debt. You have seen the spending. You have not seen the wealth, and those two things are not the same. Wealth is not visible. That is the entire point. Wealth is what you haven't spent. Assets sitting in accounts, compounding, not showing up on Instagram. Every dollar spent on visible status is a dollar not building invisible wealth. The person who looks richest is often the one who spent most aggressively to appear that way, and may have the least actual financial security of anyone you know. This is not just about money. This is about control, and control is the real prize. Housel makes an argument he calls the highest form of wealth, and it has nothing to do with a number in your account. It's the ability to wake up and decide what you do with your day. To work because you want to, not because you must. To say yes to the thing you love, even if it pays less. To handle a medical emergency without it becoming a financial emergency. To leave a job that's destroying you without panic. Research by psychologist Angus Campbell found that the single most reliable predictor of happiness is not income, not geography, not relationship status. It is the sense of controlling your own life, more than salary, more than house size, more than prestige. People with strong control over their time consistently report higher well-being than those who are objectively wealthier, but whose time belongs to someone else. Money buys happiness when it buys freedom. It doesn't when it buys a bigger cage. Room for error, the most underrated financial skill. A plan only works if it can survive reality. And reality, as Housel points out, has a habit of being nothing like the plan. Think about the past 20 years alone. September 11th. A global financial crisis. A housing collapse that cost nearly 10 million Americans their homes. A pandemic that shut down the world. A stock market that crashed and then broke records. How many of those were in anyone's financial plan? And this is exactly where most people unknowingly fail. Not in bad strategy, but in zero margin. The concept Housel calls room for error is the practice of building slack into your financial life so that when the unexpected arrives, and it always does, you don't have to make desperate decisions. If a job loss or market crash forces you to sell investments at the worst possible moment, your plan isn't a plan. It's a bet on nothing going wrong. And nothing going wrong for long enough is not a bet you can win. This is why Housel is suspicious of anyone who claims to have it figured out. The more confident the prediction, the more dangerous the position. The investor who structures their entire life around 10% annual returns has left no room for the decades when it delivers 2. Save more than you think you need. Invest more conservatively than feels exciting. Build buffers that feel wasteful in good times. Because in bad times, those buffers are the only thing standing between you and a catastrophic decision made from desperation. What this book is really about: strip away the case studies, the janitor, the Wall Street executive, Buffett Gates, Gupta Madoff, and what remains at the center of this book is a single, radical reframe. Finance is not a math problem. It is a psychology problem. And the reason so many intelligent, educated, hardworking people fail financially is not that they chose the wrong stock or missed the right moment. It is that they fundamentally misunderstood their own relationship with money, risk, fear, and time. And this is where most people get it wrong, and where this book stops being about other people and starts being about you. You are not a rational actor making optimal decisions from data. You are a human carrying decades of emotional conditioning about what money means, what losing it feels like, and what having it proves. Your decisions come from memory, fear, and ego, not spreadsheets. Recognizing this is not a reason to give up. It is the beginning of actually changing something. Housel's deepest argument is about behavioral humility. The best financial decisions are rarely the ones that maximize spreadsheet returns. They are the ones you can actually stick with through a crash, through the years when nothing seems to work. Reasonable beats rational. A strategy you maintain through fear is worth more than a perfect strategy you abandon the moment it hurts. The enemy of good investing is not stupidity. It is emotion at the wrong moment. What changes when you see money differently? Look at your financial life right now, not the number in your account, the behavior underneath it. Are you spending to look wealthy or to become wealthy? Are you investing in a way you can maintain through a bad year, or a way that only works if everything goes right? Are you defining enough? Or is the goalpost always moving? Are you building your life around controlling your time, or trading your time for stuff that signals success to people you barely know? You are not weak for never having asked these questions. But here's what changes the moment you do. The janitor's secret wasn't a secret at all. Ronald Reed didn't outperform Richard Fusconi because he found a better stock. He outperformed him because he understood something Fusconi didn't. That patience is a form of skill. That surviving in the market for 60 years is worth more than winning in it for 10. That the investor who earns 10% a year for 40 years will always beat the investor who earns 20% for 10, then blows up chasing 30. You don't need a finance degree. You don't need an extraordinary income. You need to save consistently, invest patiently, live below your means, define what enough looks like, build margin for error, and protect your ability to stay in the game when everyone else is panicking. That's the whole formula. It sounds boring because it is, and boring, compounded over decades, becomes extraordinary. The most valuable thing you can do with money is use it to buy back your time. Not a car that impresses people, not a house that signals success. Time. The ability to work when you want, rest when you need to, and spend your finite hours on things that actually mean something to you. That is the dividend no investment brochure ever describes, and it is the one that makes the biggest difference in how a life actually feels to live. Here is what this book is really asking you. Ronald Reed and Richard Fusconi breathed the same economic air, had access to the same markets. One died with $8 million he gave away. The other lost an 18,000 square foot mansion to bankruptcy. The difference was not intelligence, not access, not alone. It was bare, pure, compounded in small daily choices nobody was watching. until one day the math became undeniable. You are making those choices right now, whether you're aware of it or not. The way you think about enough, the way you respond to fear, the way you define wealth versus the way the world performs it, the patience you bring or don't bring to the slow, invisible, unsexy process of letting time do its work. None of these are dramatic decisions. They rarely feel important in the moment, but they are the only decisions that actually matter. Doing well with money has very little to do with how smart you are, and almost everything to do with how you behave, especially when it's hardest to behave well. The question isn't whether you have enough financial knowledge. The question is whether you have enough self-knowledge to see the patterns running beneath your decisions. And that question has no answer except the one you build. One day, one decision, 1 year at a time.